Hey guys, first Regardsman here, and today I'll be talking about a Power Fist build for the Bulwark class for both Operations and Siege Mode in patch 8.0 Space Marine 2. Now the Power Fist is a very strong weapon in this game. It is also very popular. Its main game plan is just to charge attack enemies, and it can one-shot most of the Majoras in this game, especially with the new Prestige perk, or I say semi-new, Overcharge perk here for charge attack damage increased by 20%. This does work for the Power Fist on its charge attacks, so the Power Fist is actually able to one-shot guys, especially on Chaos, and this weapon does perform quite well versus both Chaos and Tyranids. Now the variant we have chosen here is the Balanced Relic tier, mainly so we get the actual breakpoints with the strength of 12, on top of being able to trigger not only our parries but also our perk, the Intimidating Aura, because really this class does benefit a lot from Intimidating Aura and also gun strikes with things like armor reinforcement if you decide to take this, but we will be taking Steel Within, and I'll explain why later. But first of all, I want to talk about the actual perk tree we select on this weapon. We go into Perpetual Strength first here for just a straight melee damage increase to get to our Heavy Preparation weapon perk. Heavy attack preparation time is reduced by 30%, applies to the following attacks: Thrust Jab, Back Fist, Hammer Hook, Back Fist 2, and Thrust Jab 2. Like I said before, this weapon's main game plan is to charge attack enemies. This makes that easier, and this is pretty much mandatory as far as I'm concerned on this weapon, because it just, 30% is a huge reduction in time. Next perk here, Perpetual Strength. Perpetual Strength, pretty self-explanatory, more melee damage. Then we go into the perk Focused Intention. When your health is below 30%, you take 50% less health damage while preparing heavy attacks. This is a huge damage reduction, especially for the Bulwark, where you combine it with his 30% increased starting health on top of a perk like Steel Within. He becomes incredibly tanky while at low HP and charging a heavy attack, and we are charging heavy attacks all the time in this game, so this is a great perk for that. Probably the best perk in this tree out of like these two. And then the next perk here is Tide of Battle. Power wave forward distance increases from 4 to 8. Applies to the following attacks: Thrust Jab, Back Fist, Hammer Hook, Back Fist 2, Thrust Jab 2. This is also another mandatory perk in my opinion. This makes your fist here like a Falco punch that goes a mile away. It is incredible. Really good perk. Always take this. Then we go into Strength of Will. While performing a heavy attack, you take 20% less range damage. These all stack together. Your damage reduction kind of gets absurd. And really the whole game plan, like as designed by Saber, is just a charge attack with this weapon. It's pretty obvious just by the perk tree selection. Next thing here I take is Following Blow. Now this is optional because this one makes it so a Back Fist and Back Fist 2 can be performed instantly after a Thrust Jab or Hammer Hook, which means like after you do your main charge attack, which is your Thrust Jab, you'll then be able to immediately go into a Back Fist charge attack. However, this instantaneous attack cannot be charged, so you do actually lose out on some damage here that you might otherwise be able to get if you want to charge up your attack. So alternatively, you could take something like Heavy Armament for the cannon punch increase instead of this, because this is just your running charge attack. That's really up to you, but I've taken this today because I do kind of like this a bit. It does hit breakpoints on Majoris enemies, but it's really it really is a decision to be made. Next perk is Combo. After a successful heavy attack, the next light attack deals 10% more melee damage. This perk sucks, but we have to take it to get into Majora's Slayer, which is melee damage against Majora's level enemies increases by 10%. This weapon is incredible versus Majora's, and this helps us hit some breakpoints, especially versus like Tyranid warriors at times. Now, as far as our secondary goes, we do take the Plasma Pistol here. Now, you could take the Heavy Bolt Pistol. I would primarily take this versus Tyranids on the Operations, and if you're fighting Chaos, I would just take this for the Chaos Operations. If you're playing in Siege Mode, just take the Plasma Pistol, because the Plasma Pistol in Siege Mode is kind of busted. It has AoE on its gun strikes, and they do a tremendous amount of damage. They hit whole Majora's packs, whole Terminus packs, whole Extremis packs. It is really, really valuable. Definitely the best sidearm in Siege Mode currently, so that's why we take it here. Now, I also take this for Operations just because I kind of prefer the Plasma Pistol at this point. We kind of cover our bases as far as like headshot damage goes. Well, not headshot damage, but as far as ranged attacks go with the Thrust Jab on the Power Fist. So Plasma Pistol, kind of a contested health recovery mechanic here. And we take the ammo variant mainly because ammo is king. And for Operations, I don't take the Auxiliary Reload perk, so I kind of need the extra ammo. But if you want to take that, you certainly can, but I'll explain like the Prestige perk setups in a second. And this is how you set up the perk tree, in case you're curious, which I'm sure you are. And we go into Efficient Charge here, which is charge shots from Plasma Pistol use 2 less energy. Probably the most important perk in this tree, because otherwise your plasma shots just take up a tremendous amount of ammunition. This saves you a ton, especially on the ammo capacity variant. Now for the perk tree, we do take Intimidating Aura here, which is a perfectly timed parry, deals area of effect damage within a 5-meter radius, cooldown is 5 seconds. This perk lets you one combo Gunstrike parry any Majora's in the game pretty much. Great stuff, especially with our balanced parry window on the fist here, which lets us parry pretty easily. This does function on perfect block, but today we're using the perfect parry, so it doesn't really matter too much. And if you want to take Conviction, you can, though if you are going to take Conviction, this is an amazing perk. I would suggest just taking the Artificer block variant, because the Artificer block variant does tremendous damage, and it works really well with Conviction, because Conviction just makes it so you take so little HP damage that you can survive tremendously more. And Intimidating Aura really isn't as important with things like block weapons, mainly because the main benefit of Intimidating Aura is like a Gunstrike parry combo, not so much just pure damage, if that makes sense. Next perk here is Scramble Targeting. If you are surrounded by 5 or more enemies, you take 25% less damage from range attacks. This perk is amazing, especially in Siege mode, because there are 5 or more enemies around you like all the time in Siege mode. And honestly, Armor of Contempt is a terrible perk. This perk is like one of the most overrated perks in this whole game. It hardly even kills Minoris at times. Horrendous perk, to be honest. Both of these are better, even like Shock and Awe, which is pretty niche. But Scramble Targeting, by far the best perk in this tree. Next perk I take here is Steel Within. When your health is less than 50%, you take 30% less health damage. Now, the reason I take this is because I like to use this build setup on Siege mode often, and on Siege mode, you are fighting both Chaos and Tyranids, and a perk like Armor Reinforcement is worse versus Chaos than Steel Within is, but if you want to take this versus Tyranids on like Operations or something, or even Chaos, you can. It's just a 30% health damage reduction when you're below 50% HP is tremendous, and we already have a 30% increase to our starting health, which means our effective HP goes up that much more. Now, as far as the team perk goes, you do have a choice here. You could take the classic Advanced Conditioning, which is contested health fades 50% more slowly for all squad members. This perk is excellent, but this perk here just got a buff, a 10-second reduction to its overall time. So it used to be every 40 seconds, now it's every 30. All squad members automatically restore 1 armor segment. Armor, while drip fed in this game, is very valuable because I've said it in multiple videos at this point, but in case you weren't watching those, you basically, when you have any amount of armor in Space Marine 2, the next incoming melee hit will make you take 0 damage, even from bosses. So if you have like an influx of armor that just comes out every now and then, especially for your whole team, you're saving a lot of lives, you're saving a lot of damage. 1 armor can absolutely stop you from just getting downed entirely, and sometimes this can come in very clutch, though this perk here can also save you HP, but I've honestly come to prefer Focus Restoration, though I wouldn't mind if it got buffed a little more. Next perk here is Purity of Purpose. The banner deals damage over time to enemies within its area of effect. This perk is amazing. It pretty much just lets you spam your banner for AoE whenever you want. Awesome stuff. It does a ton of damage, and it's much better than these 2 perks are. Next perk I take here, this is kind of like a hot take, really. Glorious Shield. All squad members within the banner's area of effect take 20% less damage, and the banner lasts 20% longer. I think this one fits the playstyle of Bulwark more than Invigorating Icon does, because the 50% increased cooldown on this perk here does kind of suck at times. It makes the Bulwark feel a little less fun to play, and with this perk and Masterful Defense for getting your ability charge back, especially in Siege mode, you can spam banners all the time. They last longer, you take less damage, and we already have so much damage reduction on the Bulwark that on top of Purity of Purpose, your Horde Clear is pretty incredible. But if you want to take Invigorating Icon for the classic combo, you certainly can. I'm sure most of you will, but Glorious Shield is certainly an option. Next perk we take here is Merciless Resolve. After a Shield Bash or Thunderhammer Pommel Smash, melee damage increases by 15%. You do not lose control upon taking heavy hits, and you cannot be knocked back for 10 seconds. This perk is pretty much free melee damage and free knockback resist. No knockback in this game is incredibly valuable. This is very easy to pull off with a Shield Bash. If you want to take Rejuvenating Effect, you can, because this one says when the banner is activated, it revives incapacitated squad members in its area of effect. This perk sucks in the Operations because it is very easy to get people up in Operations, but in Siege mode, it can actually be hard to revive your teammates at times, and a banner plant to instantaneously bring them up is very useful. So if you want to take that, you can. I just put this one a little higher. Next perk here is a choice between Emergency Countermeasure, which is when your armor is fully depleted, a reserve shock grenade automatically detonates at your position, cooldown is 90 seconds. This perk is really good. 90-second shock grenades are pretty epic, and they also drop when you're at like your most vulnerable, which is when your armor breaks. So great stuff. Also has a great synergy with Conviction here. So like your armor breaks, you take less damage, and you start killing things around you. But the perk here, Armored Advance, if you have armor remaining, you do not lose control upon taking heavy hits, and you cannot be knocked back. This is just the best perk in this tree, in my opinion. No knockback is super valuable. This also functions so that you can block sniper shots and zone throw balls and take no damage and not get knocked back at all while you have armor remaining. So that's why I rank this one a bit higher, but if you want to take this, you certainly can, and this perk sucks. Next perk for perk selection here for the prestige perks. If you're going into Siege mode, I do want to say you should take Auxiliary Reload, which is melee kills of Extremis level or higher enemies. Restore your secondary weapons ammo by 1 magazine. This is really valuable in Siege mode for obvious reasons. There are so many Extremis enemies, and honestly, the more ammo you save, the more points you can spend on other stuff, so I would take this there. In Operations, you really don't have to take this at all, so that's why I build in Operations. I just go Resilience, Overcharge, Masterful Defense, and Powerful Shot, but in the actual Siege mode, I would just go for Auxiliary Reload, like Overcharge, Masterful Defense, and Powerful Shot, because Resilience is a good perk, but it's not as valuable as, say, like the Auxiliary Reload is here for more points. Sorry, excuse me. Next perk I take is Overcharge because we are using a Power Fist, and this just gives us more damage on our Power Fist. Amazing perk here. Same thing here with Powerful Shot. Range damage increased by 20%. It's very chunky. We are using a Plasma Pistol, so the Plasma Pistol just does more damage. Again, epic perk. And this perk is God tier, Masterful Defense. Ability charge restored by 1% for every blocked range attack. There are so many Terminators in the Missile Terminators in the Siege mode that you can just get your banner back constantly. This gives you so many invigorating icons, so many Glorious Shield banners. Amazing perk. You pretty much always take this no matter what if you have the shield, unless you're using like the Thunder Hammer. And then the Standard Bearer, this one's okay, just not remotely as good as these perks. And Emboldened Stance sucks. Now that's pretty much all there is for the perk selection and build selection, and now it's time for the actual gameplay. Alright, here we are in game for the Power Fist Bulwark build. Now this is the Operation Inferno on Absolute difficulty. In patch 8.0, they did make the bosses in Absolute have a 33% more HP, and then end mission bosses like the Trigon and Hive Tyrant had the 66% increase, and I'm gonna be honest, they kind of suck to fight by yourself now, which is why I brought boss with me. Grab this guy. I don't feel like re-recording this, and surely you can all understand. Now, this build does work really well in Siege mode as well, because Power Fist is just that guy for both Operations and the Siege mode on both Chaos and Tyranids. But getting to wave 15 on Siege mode could take a little bit. So we're doing this. Shoot this guy. Ooh, a Gene Seed. Well, that's my duty as a Space Marine to take. Now, I saw some people ask if they're ever going to add the Apothecary into this game. I kind of doubt it. I feel like honestly, I hope we get a Librarian before we get an Apothecary. I imagine this game is probably going to get another class after the Tech Marine. But I will say, patch 9.0 better add in some serious skill tree reworks to this game, because there's no way they can release a new class of Assault in its current state. It's just unacceptable as far as I'm concerned, because Assault is basically unplayable versus Chaos in like the higher ways of Siege right now, which is awful. Alright, Neurothrope and Elictor. We can mop this guy pretty easily. Neurothropes suck though. They are by far my least favorite. Let's hit this arm just right here. Oh, this Bramble. Just stopped his attack. That's cool. Oh, this Heavy Bot go. Now, you can't actually punch a Neurothrope. It is kind of irritating to do so, though. I will say I do like the Power Fist more in the Bulwark than the Assault, mainly because the Bulwark can actually animation cancel it with his shield. Like so. These are the most convenient armor boots I've ever seen. Maybe we'll punch him. We'll cast Fist. Look at that damage. Now there's even more on the actual siege mode because they have no buff on that. Oh, look at that. I turn around and it just turns into Jumanji. Pull that bramble. Again, it's kind of hard to get down there at the time. It pretty right. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, that's close. Ow. That's okay. Let's just line them up here so we can punch all of them. He's almost dead. Now, when you're using the Power Fist, you should use your lock on, and there you can see that in the hotkeys. I will say that locking on can actually get you hurt pretty badly in this game at times, mainly because the camera does get pulled, like horrifically pulled to whoever you're fighting. But when you're using a charge attack on a weapon, this also goes for the knife, Shadow Stab. It does help a lot with your aim. It'll drag your character to them. It'll try to prioritize it. Like 9 times out of 10 it will. Just make sure to de-lock, or you will get fucked up, as they say. Let's go over here. Didn't use too much ammo that time. It's pretty easy. Though we did have bots with us, so to be expected. For that range. That is from our Power Wave, our Tide of Battle perk. I do believe that's, I'm pretty sure that's the name of it. Increased Power Wave distance. It's certainly increased, pretty much doubled. And it feels like it's more than it even says it is. It says it's like, you know, 10 meters or something, but it feels like more. Alright, we'll just do it. No, I can't. Can't charge through that. Well, I also want to mention that the Power Fist does have hyper armor while your actual charge attack is going off. So, like, anything that would not be staggered by a no knockback. Hold on, let me kill this guy before I get that thought out. Anything that's stopped by a no knockback perk would also be stopped by the hyper armor from your the hyper armor from your Thunder Hammer or your Power Fist. Just keep that in mind. Because the no knockback perks in this game are kind of a lie in the sense that they do not block all heavy hits, but they will block like 80% of them. But like a lot of the unblockables in this game will still hit you. And this is also another perfect showcase that the Power Fist is really good versus Biovores. Because they'll sit there and take it for the most part. There we go. Perfect. Let's grab this ammo box. I know we have a crate in here, but free ammo is free ammo. Now the guard camp here can kind of suck. Sometimes it sends like a whole horde at you, sometimes it doesn't send anything. Huge RNG area, but...
Talassa, you need to acquire the Astra Militarum demolition codes required to deploy and arm their ordnance.
There you go.
Source one from any soldier you see, alive or otherwise. A fruitless search.
Ready to deploy.
Ow, ow, ow.
This was promising. Code retreat. Proceed to the Prometheum refinery and complete the demolition
Oh, that was quick.
preparations.
I guess I'll go check for the Guardian Relic spot here. I doubt we'll need it with bots, but you never know. And nothing there. Take him out. No, you can't actually hit these guys with your power fist. So if you get a full charge set off, should down. Oh, a little too high up, but see if you can't do it this way. There we go. Perfect, perfect. Ow. Oh, that's close. I don't know if that was me. Probably my heavy bot. Either way, it's dead. All that really matters to me. Grab my ammo and move on to Prometheum Fields. Now, we got no real horde here. And the Prometheum Fields, in that case, can kind of be a nightmare, but we'll see. I hate this portion of the map. There's like no cover. And if it sends like a ton of devourers at you, or snipers are usually like a mile away. And if you're like a bulwark or something like we are now, you're kind of stuck. You're kind of stuck just running on through and dodging sniper shots the whole time. Or worse, an earth or a boss, which I feel like we're probably gonna get.
Sending fractures.
Never seen Prometheum before. Hope it burns all the same.
Our banner awaits us all.
Right, here comes the boss, maybe? No, not this time.
Our glorious banner strengthens our resolve. Pyramids with fire. Astartes with power.
The banner really does just kind of trivialize the, any melee extremis spawn. Like, that's a triple lictor spawn, and even then, even if they were all on us, they just kind of get shit on by the purity of purpose. Top of our glory shield. Just so you, for those of you who are still here, I do want to say there will be an Assault Rant video coming. Because Assault right now is probably in the worst state he's ever been, just because of how mad he is at the new content, at least the Chaos portion of the new content. Alright, I'm gonna toss a nade on these guys over here if I can.
Deploying fragmentation. That is the last of the filth. Failed at all.
Man, Bulwark is just so tanky. You know, having a shield on top of all the HP and damage reduction, you're kind of just a beast on this class. The only thing you really lack is like proper boss damage, that a power fist and things like that, but with the power fist and your plasma gun strikes, you're pretty damn good at killing like 99% of the content in this game.
Where shall I plant this flag? Unleashing frag grenade!
Talassa, the Canadians are running out of time. How close are you to the Promethean facility?
Entering the refinery.
We're making good time.
It also does feel like whatever weapon Assault has is more easy to use than on the Bulwark. Except for the Thunderhammer. Thunderhammer Assault is pretty damn monstrous.
Resource brothers, to my mark.
Mainly because of the Zealous Flow perk.
There is no going back.
Now, there is a current bug with the Power Sword, though, that you cannot do your charge attacks, your running attacks immediately after stance swapping. They said it's a bug. Or at least I've heard it's a bug. Still pisses me off. I'm a big fan of the Power Fist, so.
Cautiously, if you know what is good for you.
I want to fix it. This guy here. Oh, nice job, Sniper Bot. Truly is the choice team here, Heavy and Sniper Bot, top your Bulwark. Not all the bots in this game are created equal. Heavy bot is built different. Really, the Heavy in general is built different. Best bot and best class. He just be like that. Wait, this bomb deployment here.
Prepare for hostiles at Generator 2.
I'm just gonna find a banner on this.
Generator 2.
We will have to hold.
Operator requested.
Grab this guy.
Get a tyrannid's dispatch and disband.
Alright, generator 1. That is my favorite generator, so.
Go down to Wild on it. The deed is nearly done.
Unauthorized personnel. Observe your duties.
I was gonna get a charge hit. A good old charge attack in here. I don't really care if it takes some damage. I just want to make sure the generator is totally fine.
This galaxy is not yours to devour, High Priest.
Okay, really sent out all the lictors today, huh? Really, if you have any type of parry weapon at all, lictors kind of just get trivialized because they are super susceptible to parries. They're the thing that block weapons struggle with the most by far. Raveners, not so much. Raveners have a pretty easy string, but these guys like to stagger at their hits tons.
It will make a good vantage for your ambush.
Banner ready to deploy.
Grab that. Find a banner down. Let's go blast this guy. You're almost dead, so. I don't even care too much if I get the liquor right now as long as I kill this guy. That's so damn tanky. Alright, good shot, last Fusel bot. Probably do that build next. Last Fusel's fun. You know, there are a couple of guns in this game that have really stayed pretty top tier since the game came out. I'd say it's like Last Fusel, Multi-Melta. Not so much the normal Melta rifle, that one's okay. I'll probably put that one like B, high B, maybe low A. But Multi-Melta, S tier weapon, Last Fusel, pretty high, either high A or S tier. It does kind of struggle now, there are more enemies. It does have collateral, but when the game first came out, there were far fewer enemies in the missions. So a weapon that one taps one Majoris is a lot more valuable. And ammo is less of an issue. But now, having like, you know, 100 plus extremists in a siege mode map, ammunition definitely becomes more of a problem. Alright, let's go toss. And I'll save these shock grenades. Maybe we can just sign as first, these guys. Look at this guy. Alright, over here.
Our banner awaits unfurling.
Alright, my guys. Haven't hit this guy, I might be a little too high up. I definitely hit him if he does that. Alright, there we go. I'm guessing my bots killed the Ravener. I'm not sure when that happened, but yeah, here it is. It died to something, wasn't me. Now we might get a Carnifex or a Neurothrope, but double boss spawns are not guaranteed on these maps in Absolute now, but I have had them happen quite a bit, especially with bots. Let's toss this. We'll see both. Value. Put ourselves in like a little safety corner. Throw our banners back. Because your banner is really just a shock nade on wheels. Or I guess on legs. Because you are the leg. Plural. Let's Alright, yes. Once you die, they will all burst. Synapse burst is kind of OP. Like Carnifex, that's pretty easy for us to deal with.
Where's life gone with flag? Father, the Emperor's Lord. Growing fragmentation.
Power Fist is very good against the Carnifex, especially because... Alright, see, that's one of the reasons. Alright. You have to sit around unless you charge up your attacks often. Just gotta position yourself properly. Just be careful about that jump attack he does, because it has a deceptively high, large radius for the second attack he does when he pulls his claws out of the ground. Which is quite irritating. Execute. No, it's still not. Awesome. So it may look like we are tremendously low HP, and we are. But, that being said, we are low. That is all I was going to say. I said dodge a sniper shot. Sorry about the bots.
I will heal you in no time. Well,
Let's kill these guys. Oh. That's almost mean. So this. And then I'm just going to put down a banner again.
for the Imperium of Man.
Where is this guy? He ran off.
No doubt. My choosing is deploying shrapnel grenade. Ammunition expended. Magazine exhausted.
Alright. Unfortunately, we got shot by the sniper, but that's fine. The boss spawns in the new absolute difficulty, definitely pretty brutal. It's by yourself. Like you definitely feel the increased HP, and fighting bosses with Extremis in this game, with like low resources, is one of the harder things to do. Because like as you saw, we basically got like stun locked out of our own execute at that point. Like a lictors on top of a Carnifex, pretty brutal. Pretty brutal combination. Let us grab this. But that's definitely the hardest part we're gonna have in that mission, so pretty much smooth sailing now. But the Power Fist just does great damage to them anyways. And, you know, if you're playing with your friends, it's that much easier.
Run distraction
Because the bots don't really do anything for boss damage.
If there is one thing I know, Lieutenant,
They will slap
it
up
is
like
how
the
to
zone
make
tropes
them
and stuff, but like actual bosses, not really.
hold you to that.
Alright, let's move on through. Oh my god, man, it really is a lictor party today, ain't it? Alright, time for a little bit of range spam on. me back my stuff. I wouldn't really recommend sitting there waiting for the oh, it's the first sim I've seen all game. I wouldn't really recommend just like blocking with your shield in operations, because in operations, Master Defense is still good, but the longer you're spending blocking with your shield, there is like a horde cooldown in this mode compared to Siege mode where the waves are set. So you're ticking down that timer all the time. Alright. Let's wait for this to go away. I'll be like running it through my own shock grenade.
This position is defensible. Somewhat.
We're just gonna move on through. Down to our finale. Now this portion is like the stat farm finale. Probably since most of my Noras at you in the entire game. Like all these little guys out here and like the decapitation bridge section, they do all count towards your final score screen.
Come on.
So if you have some guy with like a heavy bolter who's like, oh man, you guys aren't doing anything, look how many guys I killed, it's probably because they shot all of these guys. Or like the decapitation dudes.
Will not be in position for a while yet. Keep your heads and get it done.
Enemies have split from the main force. Prepare to intercept. Target seen on Spyroform. Do not let them pile up.
Units for high tower front line.
Alright, we're gonna put a banner down here, let's talk it up. Now this is what Purity of Purpose is made for.
Continue holding.
Our focus shall fellow the zone host destiny.
Alright, killing these guys always kind of sucks with a plasma pistol, but
Every last Xenos for the insecure reaffirming.
Right, there we go. That's the annoying part.
The fewer psychers these Xenos have, the better.
If they want to make Tyranids harder, they should nerf the Synapse first, because one-shotting basically all of the Minoras off of one Tyranid kill, or Majora's kill, is kind of crazy.
Halfway there, brothers. Keep it up.
Those are armor regen perk. Alright, we're missing our balance parry window is failing us. Or we're failing it. One of the two. Let's try this.
Skitter to the grave.
Tyranids on the approach. Know them now.
We're gonna go down there and we're gonna grab our banner here and put down another Purity of Purpose for him. It's really just, you know, who needs a shock grenade when you have a shock grenade in your banner? That's what it's all about. Alright, Seventh rope. Warriors are there.
Almost fully committed. Be ready for my mark.
Releasing shockwave. That silence intimidated my kitty.
Can I power fist you? That's the question. You're a little high up. There we go.
Another Xenos atrocity. I resemble a foe. No.
And that should be it.
To detonate.
There we go. That's a wrap.
We will stop
Oh,
their
except for
advance
the
cold.
extremis at the very end. Shocked it wasn't another elixir. I feel like we got like 20 plus extremis that time. That's pretty good. This map does like to send out a lot of extremis at you, which honestly I prefer.
Grenade release. The Titus is
Did my bots actually fuck that Ravener up?
Didn't
No, they didn't.
signs down 90% and forward. Swarm annihilation will follow. Excellent. Move to extract. Thunderhawker arriving at evac point. Trap down and ready. Coming in hot.
And that is it. That is the Power Fist Bulwark build. Thank you if you watched all the way through the video for this one.
Returning to orbit.
I do appreciate it. And let's go see what our stat screen was after we get past like the quantum tunneling loading screen. Actually, is that even an accurate analogy? Not really. You're basically in purgatory in these loading screens. These loading screens suck. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the point. They suck. Loading screens in Space Marine 2 suck. Not a hot take. Definitely a valid one, though. One day we'll get there. Yeah, Dark Tide will give you the loading screen like instantaneously after, but here we have 23 extremists. There were 27 in there. 2 bosses. That's a lot of guys, even with our heavy bot here. But you know, good stuff there. Power Fist is fun. I don't know there's more to say about it than that. Strong build. Power Fist Bulwark is just that guy. Hope you guys liked this video. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe for more. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace.